Hello students, so welcome back to my YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe my TikTok PH. So thank you so much. So with that, our quarter four week 6 objectives. So at the end of the lesson, you should be able to one, recall the definition of mean, median, and mode. Two, solve the mean, median, and mode of group data. And last one, three, cite real life applications of the measures of central tendency. Ito po yung kailangan nyo matutunan or ma-master this week. So, with that, let's recall no, yung ano nga bang ibig sabihin ng measures of central tendency. So, this is simply a numerical descriptive measure which locate the center of the distribution ng data natin. So, meron tayong tatlong uri. We have the mean, median, and mode. So, we are talking about the group data. Take note of that. So, like, recall natin, no, pag sinabing mean, this is simply commonly called as the average. So, and the median naman, this is simply the middle number of the data. Okay, in naka-ascend siya, no, or naka-range in either ascending or descending. So, mode naman, this is simply refers to the most frequent number or yung mas maraming na ulit na number mo. Okay, so with that, we have the different symbols. We have the mean, ito yan yung X, tapos meron siyang bar sa taas. Yung median naman, so meron siyang current, yung alon, yung symbol sa taas ng X. And for the mode naman, ito naman yung X, tapos meron siyang current na symbol sa taas. So with that, we have to familiar with the different symbols for the measure of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode. So with that, let's have the example no, para alam natin paano nga ba i-apply ang mean, median, and mode para makapag-solve sa group data natin. Let's have example. Teacher Roy gave a 100 points math quiz to his 35 students. He checked the test papers and grouped the results of the scores of the 35 students in the mathematics as shown below. Ito yung data natin. So, find the mean, median, and mode. Okay, so kung mapapansin nyo, naka-arrange na siya, no? Andiyan na yung frequency at yung interval ng bawat score. So with that, paano nga ba tayo mag-compute ng mean? Unahin natin yung mean. So meron tayong formula. Okay, so pag binasa ko yung formula na to, this is mean. Ito yung symbol ng mean natin. Okay, summation of f of xm divided by n. Okay, take note of that. So, where ito yung symbol natin ng mean, ito naman yung f, this is the total frequency natin. Okay, or I mean the number of frequency. And yung xm naman dyan, ibig sabihin x of m. Okay, ibig sabihin yung class mark or the average of the lower and the upper interval. Yung n naman, this is the total frequency. So, yung sigma, take note of this ha, sigma meaning total yon or i-add natin. Yung product ng frequency tsaka yung class mark, yung fxm. So, sum of the product of the frequencies in the class mark. So, with that, we have the steps para masundan natin step by step. So, first, make another column for the class mark denoted by xm, ito yung class mark natin, of each interval, determine the midpoint of each class interval. Dito tayo, no, gagawa tayo ng another column. And then, step 2, multiply each class mark, yung xm natin, by the frequency, yun yung f, to obtain the product of, di ba, yun yung f times xm. Write the product is another column. So, bali magkakaroon tayo ng 4 columns dyan. And then, step 3, find the summation of the product of the frequency and the class mark. Yun yung fxm. Kaya nga sigma notation yan, total. Then, divide it by the n, yun yung total frequency natin, to estimate the mean of the data. So, para makita natin, let's proceed. So, ibig sabihin, before we compute the mean, kailangan makompleto natin yung two columns na to, yung class mark, tsaka yung frequency times the class mark, yung fxm. So, first, hanapin muna natin yung ating mean. Okay, di ba? So, meaning to say, take note do, yung ating formula. Kailangan mahanap natin yung parts dyan. So, first, hanapin natin yung n, di ba? Ang n natin dyan is the total frequency. Just simply add lang natin 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 6 plus 2. N dot s equal to 35. Ito yung total frequency natin. Di ba? Nasa problem, di ba? Yung 35 students, yun yung nag-take ng test. Okay, kaya 35 yung total frequency natin. And then, we can now get the class mark. Di ba? Pag sinabing class mark, this is simply the sum of the lower limit and the upper limit divided by 2. So, example natin to find the class mark of this first class interval, simply add lang natin yung ating lower limit tsaka upper limit divide by 2. Kaya that is 68. Meaning to say, 66 plus 70, 136 yon, divide by 2, 68. Kaya ibig sabihin yan, yung 68 yung nasa pagitan na 68 to 70. Or pwede rin siyang bilang ka ng numbers mo, no? 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Ano yung nasa middle? So we call that the class mark. Okay, so another, we have 71 plus 75 over 2, that is 146 divided by 2, 73. Kaya yung class mark natin sa pangalawa is 73. And we have 76 plus 80 naman, that is equal to 156 divided by 2, that is 78. Kaya ilalagay natin dito yan. And for the next one, same procedure, no? I-add lang natin yung 81, yung lower limit, tsaka yung upper limit na 85 divided by 2, yung sum nila. Kaya that is 83. And same with this, so add lang ulit natin yung 86 tsaka 90 divided by 2, kaya 88 yon. Okay, and then until you finish the column or to fill up. And then, kapag nakompleto na natin yung class mark, dito na tayo sa product ng frequency tsaka yung class mark, yung FXM. Okay, how are we going to do that? Just simply, i-multiply lang natin yung number of frequencies sa bawat interval doon sa kanyang class mark. Kaya 2 times 68, that is equal to 136. Yun yung ilalagay natin dito sa first class interval natin, yung kanyang product ng frequency tsaka class mark. Then, dito sa pangalawa naman, multiply mo ulit yung 6 times 73, that is 438. So, lalagay mo dito. And then, the third one is multiply 8 times 78, kaya ang product nila is 624. Then, until you finish, no, multiply mo ulit. 7 times 83, 581 yon. Then, 3 times 88, 88, that is 264. Then, 4 times 93, that is 372. And then, 5 times 98, 490. Kapag nakompleto na po natin yung ating product ng frequency at class mark, kukunin natin yung tinatawag natin summation. Yung sigma, no? Take note, the sigma, that is simply add or total natin. So, add natin yung 490, 372, 264, 581, 624, 438, tsaka 136. Ang total po nila, that is 2,905. Ito ngayon yung kukunin natin doon sa magiging part natin for the substitution, doon sa formula natin. So with that, i-substitute na natin yung 2,905, ito yon yung nasa numerator natin. Divide natin by n. Ano yung n natin? Yun yung total frequency, which is 35. Kaya pag divide natin dyan, that is 83. Ito ngayon yung tawag ay mean or the average of the scores of students. So ganun lang kung paano mag-compute. So with that, i-check natin saan nga ba makikita yung ating average dito sa class interval. So nandito po sa pagitan ng 81 to 85. Okay, so let's proceed. Another, so same problem natin and the table, no? Okay, so we are going to find now the median. Take note of that. Median naman ang hanapin natin. So, paano nga ba tayo mag-compute ng median? Siyempre, meron tayong formula dyan. So, pag binasa ko itong formula na ito, this is the median symbol. Yung meron siyang alon na symbol sa taas yung X. Then, XLB. Okay, meaning to say lower boundary plus yung itong n over 2 na to, we call this the median class. Median class minus the less than cumulative frequency divided by median, frequency of the median class multiplied by the class size. Yun yung I natin. So, meaning to say, where X, yun yung bar natin, no, yung may alon, median yon. Yung N is the total frequency. Yung N over 2 is half of the total frequency. Okay, then CF naman natin, that is the cumulative frequency. Then, add each frequency from the lowest frequency distribution table to the sum of its predecessor. The last value is always equal to N. Okay, so then yung eto naman simbolo to, this is less than cumulative frequency. So before the median class. Then yung XLB, this is lower class boundary of the median class. And I natin, that is size of the class interval. And yung FM, that is frequency of the median class. So kailangan alam natin yung tawag sa bawat symbol dyan sa part ng formula for the median. And then we can now compute. We have the steps na kailangan matandaan natin. Compute the cumulative frequency first. And then step 2, determine the median class using the n over 2 kasi yun yung function niya, yung gamit niya. Doon mo ma-determine kung saan class interval makikita yung median class mo, yung n over 2. So then step 3, determine the less than cumulative frequency of the class. It is located before the median class. And step 4, determine the lower class boundary by subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit of the median class. And step 5, find the frequency of the median class and the class interval. And last one, apply na natin yung formula by substituting the given values and estimate na natin yung ating value for the median. So with that, we can now apply. But before that, di ba, meron tayong 4 na column. So meaning to say, kompletuhin muna natin yung cumulative frequency niya tsaka yung lower boundary. Okay, remember? So ibig sabihin niyan, ito yung formula natin. And then, okay, hanapin muna natin yung I, di ba? Take note, this is the class size. Paano ba natin malalaman yung class size? Ibig sabihin niya, sa bawat class interval dito, okay, so kahit saan ka pumili dyan, no, meron tayong tinatawag na bracket. Sa bawat bracket, ilang numbers ba ang nandyan? Yun yung class size natin. We have 66 to 70. We have the 66, 7, 68, 69, 70. Or kung gusto mo, pwede ka rin kumuha sa gitna. Let's say, 76 to 80, ano yung mga numbers na nandyan? We have 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Or pwede na sa pinakataas. We have 96 to 100, ano yung mga numbers? 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Ang tanong, ilan yung numbers sa bawat bracket na yan? Kung makapapansin mo, meron silang 5. Kaya yun po yung class size natin. Consistent po yan na merong 5 numbers sa bawat interval or bawat bracket. Okay, and then, we can now find the cumulative frequency. To find the cumulative frequency, kakopy lang natin yung frequency in the lowest class interval. So, ito yon. Okay, 2. So, i-copy lang natin yung 2. Okay, and then, para makuha naman natin yung pangalawang cumulative frequency natin sa interval, ipa-plus ngayon natin yung kasunod niya. Kaya nga, that is 2 plus 6, that is equal to 8. Kaya 8 ilalagay po natin dito. And the third one would be, same procedure, i-add lang ulit natin yung kasunod niya. Kaya 8 plus 8, that is equal to 16. And then, same pa rin yung procedure natin. 16 plus 7, that is equal to 23. Kaya yun ano po ilalagay natin. And same procedure, no? Until you finish the cumulative frequency. And then, punta na tayo sa total frequency. Yun yung n natin. How are we going to get the total frequency? Add lang natin yung 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 6 plus 2. And that is a total of 35. Okay. So, pwede rin, kahit hindi mo na sa i-compute ito, tignan mo na lang yung final total natin sa cumulative frequency. Yung huling nakuha natin, 35. So, pwede mong kopyahin na lang yon. Kasi yun yung ibig sabihin yan, yung pinakahuli natin total, that is the total frequency of the data. Okay, so and then dito na tayo sa lower boundary. So pag sinabi natin lower boundary, di ba? So magso-subtract lang tayo ng 0.5 doon sa lower limits. Ang tanong, saan nga ba makikita yung lower limits? So nandito po siya. So from 66, 71 up to 96, ang tawag po dyan lahat ay lower limits. Ibig sabihin yan, magso-subtract lang tayo ng 0.5 sa bawat isa. Kaya nga that is 66 minus 0.5, that is equal to 65.5. Kaya yun po ilalagay natin dito sa unang lower boundary natin sa 66 to 70. And then the second one, same procedure natin, no? 71 minus 0.5, that is 70.5. Sulat natin dito. And then the third one is 76 minus 0.5, kaya that is 75.5. Susulat natin. And same procedure natin until you finish, magsusubtract lang tayo ng 0.5 sa bawat lower limit natin. Kaya kapag nakompleto na po natin yung lower boundary, okay, pwede na natin ikumpletuhin yung ating part sa formula kasi para makapag-substitute natin. So, n over 2. Ano nga ba yung n over 2 na to? So, ito yung to determine the median class using the n over 2. Ito yan, yung naka-encircle na blue. So meaning to say, ano nga ba yung n natin? N is the total frequency, di ba? So if this is 35, divide natin by 2. Kaya that is equal to 17.5. Kaya yun po yung value ng n over 2 natin. So ano yung gamit ng n over 2? Remember, this is median class is the class with the smallest cumulative frequency greater than or equal to the value of n over 2. Ano nga ba yung n over 2 natin? Ito yun, di ba? 17.5. Ang ibig sabihin nito, so titignan natin dito, sa class interval na ito, saan natin makikita yung tinatawag na median class? Okay, kaya nga mahalaga ito, no, emphasize natin. Yung 17.5 na to, ibig sabihin niyan, hindi siya dapat lalagpas dyan. Ibig sabihin, saan dito sa class interval kung saan makikita yung median class? Nandito po sa ating row na ito. So, between 76 to 80, kasi ngayon 17.5, nandito siya. Okay, so hindi siya pwede lumagpas sa 17.5. Kaya nga, dyan natin kukunin yung ating magiging part sa formula for the median. So, ibig sabihin yan, we can now solve for the, or we can now find the frequency of the median class. Ibig sabihin yan, that is 8. Kasi ayan yung frequency ng ating class interval. Okay, that is 8. And then, ano naman yung ating less than cumulative frequency? Kung mapapansin natin, kung ito yung ating cumulative frequency, ano yung nasa ibaba niya? Yun yung less than cumulative frequency. So, yan yun, 8. Kaya that is our value for the less than cumulative frequency. Always remember, nasa ibaba lang siya lagi ng ating magiging less than cumulative frequency kung saan nandun po yung ating class interval. And then, so ano naman yung ating XLB? Di ba? Ito yung lower boundary of the median class. So if this, meaning to say, this is 75.5. Kung mapapansin nyo, nandyan lang sa row na yan. Kaya yan po yung ating lower boundary. And what is the value of I? Okay, di ba? Ito yung I natin, the class size. Ayan. So meaning to say, kapag nakompleto na natin yung parts ng formula for the median, pwede na natin i-substitute dito sa formula natin para malaman yung value ng median. So, copy lang natin yung XLB, that is the lower boundary of the median class, 75.5, plus yung N over 2 natin, that is 17.5. And then yung less than cumulative frequency, that is 8. Kaya minus natin. And multiply by I. Yung I natin, that is the class size. And divide by FM. Ano yung FM? That is the frequency of the median class. And that is our substitution. Kailangan tama yung pagkaka-substitute natin. And then, ang una natin gagawin dyan, di ba, sa PEMDAS, you have to simplify first inside the parentheses. Kaya nga, 17.5 minus 8, that is equal to 9.5. I-copy mo lang muna yung 5, tsaka yung 8. Tsaka i-bring down mo yung 75.5. Take note, huwag mo munang ipa-plus yan kasi nga, di ba? So, unahin natin yung multiply or divide before add or subtract. So, and then, what is 9.5 times 5? Yung product nun, i-divide natin sa 8. That is equal to 5.94. And then, i-bring down mo ulit yung 75.5. Okay, tsaka mo ngayon i-plus or i-add. Yun po yung value ng ating median. That is 81.44. So, yan na yung median natin. Okay, so i-check natin, no? Balikan natin yung table natin, di ba? So, meaning to say, ito yung median class natin, no? Yung interval. Meaning to say, saan makikita yung 81.44? So, nandito po siya sa interval na to. Between 81 to 85. Remember, pag sinabing median, di ba, that is the middle number. Kung i-arrange mo to, di ba, so 66 to 70, so ibig sabihin, first turn to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Meaning to say, ano yung nasa middle? Kaya nga 81 to 85, yun yung middle ano natin. Kaya nga doon makikita yung ating median. Okay, so with that, we are going to solve for the mode. Okay, so same procedure, I mean same given natin, but take note, paano natin malalaman yung mode? Okay, meron tayong formula pa rin. So this is, okay, yun yung symbol ng mode natin. No? XLB, this is the lower boundary of the modal class plus d sub 1. Ano yung d sub 1 na to? Okay, yung d sub 1 na to, ito po yung difference of the frequency of the modal class below the modal class or the frequency. Okay, yung ating namang d sub 2 na yan, yun yung difference of the modal class, I mean the frequency of the modal class above the frequency of the modal class. Okay, times I. Yung I naman dyan is the size of the class interval. So how are we going to get the mode? So meron tayong steps. Step 1, identify muna natin yung modal class. Then, the modal class is the class interval with the highest frequency. Di ba? Kung sino yung pinakamataas dyan na number sa frequency, yun po yung modal class natin. And then step 2, determine the lower class boundary by subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit of the modal class. Ito yung lower limit natin, yung 66 up to 96. And then solve for d sub 1 and d sub 2. And then step 4, apply na natin yung formula yung binanggit natin kanina by substituting the given values and estimate na natin yung ating value. So with that, Okay, di ba nahanap na natin yung lower boundary natin. And the I, tsaka yung ating total frequency. Okay, so by subtracting 0.5 doon sa bawat lower boundary natin, yung 66 up to 96. Kaya ito yung ating lower boundary. So inad natin lahat to, kaya yun po yung total frequency. Yung I naman, ito yung class size natin, di ba? Sa bawat interval na yan or sa bawat bracket, meron pong 5 numbers. Kaya yun yung class size natin. With that, we can now apply the formula. So meaning to say, identify natin yung mga parts. So XLB, this is the lower boundary of the modal class. Yung I, this is the class size. Yung this of 1 and this of 2. Meaning to say, determine the most lower boundary of the modal class. Okay, paano natin malalaman? Di ba? Kung sino yung pinakamataas na frequency, nandun na po ang ating lower boundary. Okay, ibig sabihin yan, that is 75.5. So, yun po ay ilalagay natin dito sa, okay, sa substitute natin mamaya. And for the I naman, di ba, ito yung class size natin, that is equal to 5. Ito siya. Kaya yun po yung ilalagay natin dyan. And this of 1 naman, paano natin malalaman yung this of 1? Okay, kung ito yung ating, ayan, pag sinabing this of 1, no, difference between the frequency of the modal class, yung modal class natin dyan, I mean yung frequency of the modal class is 8. Okay, so all you have to do is titignan natin yung nasa ibaba niya na frequency. Yun po yung isosubtract natin dito sa ating frequency of the modal class. Yun ang magiging value natin doon sa d sub 1. Kaya nga that is 6. Kaya susubtract natin yan. 8 minus 6, that is 2. Yun po yung ating value sa d sub 1. And for d sub 2 naman, the difference between the frequency of the modal class, ito pa rin, 8, and that of the frequency above. Ano ba yung nasa taas na frequency ni 8? Yun yung 7. Kaya ibig sabihin yan, isosubtract natin yung 7 doon sa 8. Kaya that is 8 minus 7 is equal to 1. Therefore, kapag nakompleto na natin yung ating values sa parts ng ating formula, pwede na natin i-substitute para malaman natin yung value ng mode natin. So therefore, substitute natin yung XLB, that is the lower boundary of the modal class, 75.5, plus d sub 1 natin, di ba ang d sub 1 natin is 2. Ito yan. Okay, and then, over d sub 1, yung d sub 1 natin, ito pa rin, that is 2, plus 1, di ba yung plus 1 d sub 2, ito yan. And the first step that you're going to do is multiply muna natin yung 2 times 5. Di ba? Remember, PEMDAS, multiply first. So, meaning to say, that is equal to 10 over 3. Inad ko yung 2 plus 1 kaya 3 yan. Bring down muna natin yung 75.5. Hindi pwede i-diretso i-plus yan. Kasi di ba, mauuna yung divide or multiply before the add or subtract. So, therefore, i-divide natin yung 10 divided by 3. So, that is 3.33. So, that is repeating decimal, no? Bring down natin yung 75.5. Ngayon, i-plus na natin sila. So, meaning to say, the mode is 78.83. Ito yung value ng mode natin. So, balikan natin sa ating table. So, para ma-check natin, di ba, pag sinabing mode is the most frequent appear. So, kung ito yung 8 na most frequent appear, ibig sabihin nito, nandito sa interval na to, yung ating value ng mode. Kaya nga, between 76 to 80. Di ba? Nakita natin na tama siya. Therefore, ganun lamang kung paano mag-compute ng median and mode of the group data. I hope you learned something from this video. And don't forget to subscribe my TikTok page. Thank you. And next meeting, we will be discussing the variability for group and ungroup. Okay, so thank you.